Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Join me today from the Department of Trade Consumer Protection. You'll recognize her. She's been on the show a few times. Michelle returns. Michelle, welcome back to the show. How are you doing today?
I am doing great. Thanks for having me back.
Thank you for being here. We got a lot to talk about today, and we're going to be talking about tech privacy and back to school. This is right up your alley, I know for a fact. And we'll start with protecting personal information. And everybody's like, well, you've already talked about this. But honestly, folks, people are still getting scammed, and they're just not as safe as they can be, right? And we're here to prevent it.
Yeah, there are certainly things all of us can do to improve the way we protect our personal information. But one thing we can do as a family, in individual pods, if you will, is to start this at a very young age and talk to our students about how they're using their devices and exchanging information. And so we're changing up the focus just a little bit. And hopefully the parents, caregivers, and everyone else can have a takeaway from the conversation as well.
All right, so questions that they could put out there, some helping tips, if you will, to share ideas, I guess, and get kids and teens thinking about their personal information.
Yeah, so kids need to have an idea of what type of questions they might get from a game or an app or even other users and how to answer that or not answer those questions. So we want those parents and caregivers to coach kids to avoid giving that unnecessary personal information. What is that? Explain what that is. Only provide a name, maybe a birth date and address when you're required and on a secure site. Keep that social security number, student IDs, school names, account numbers, and passwords private. That's not information that needs to be shared on a game or most apps. There's really no reason why that needs to be shared. And explain that. Certainly you need to gauge that conversation based on the age of the child and the familiarity and use of the device that they have. But then the biggest thing to really coach kids on is to avoid that free stuff. That's one of those really enticing offers that lures you in, free games, ringtones, and other downloads. They can have malware. They could ask you to fill out a survey in order to get the free ringtone or maybe extra tokens in a game. And that survey is going to be asking for that personal information we've just, addressed as keeping confidential and not sharing online. And then, you can set a household policy as well that parents should approve downloads and make sure that they're only from those trusted sources and they should be scanned with security software.
Yeah.
And then always it's that strong email and account passwords. That's the baseline where the conversation really starts.
Yeah, it's simple stuff, and I think it's just being repetitive about it too. Just keep going over it again and again, to because it's easy. I mean, it's this is not my, earth shattering stuff here. This is just common things that if you get it out there early enough, kids will recognize it hopefully and make the right choices. File sharing, it's big. It's a big thing now, and I'm sure kids know way better how to do it than probably you and I do, but you still gotta be sensitive to doing this. Just because it's easy doesn't mean it's right.
Absolutely. And you're spot on with, I'm sure the kids know how to do this far easier than I do. But really, for everyone out there, file sharing, that allows people to share different kinds of files through an informal network of computers running the same software. And this can be risky. It has risks that kids and teens need to be aware of. You could accidentally provide many people with access to your private files if you don't do this correctly. Kids could download copyrighted materials, and that could run into all sorts of legal issues if that happens. And then shared files can certainly hide spyware, malware, and even pornography. And so you want to be sure that any additional security may be gained by installing file sharing software, activating settings so that nothing private is shared, and scanning files before downloading. So there are things you can do, besides just talking about it and having awareness. There's some extra security steps one can take, but really it's awareness and conversations again, as it relates to primarily sharing music, games, and software online, and having that awareness of what kids are doing on the devices.
Yeah, first thing I think is this device right here is what gets you in trouble, and because they could just walk up and just shared it with you. Fishing, another big one here. We're not talking about the outdoor fishing here, folks. We're talking about those fishing scams, and I'll tell you, the scammers get more and more creative with this phishing stuff, and you're like, how can they do any better? But it still is getting people, and trying to explain it to your young ones is so important.
Yeah, and this can be so important if it's a household device that you use to file your taxes with or do your banking, pay your bills, and the child's on it versus the child having their own device where there may not be the same access to different information. But if they have their own device and it's hooked up to a network, a household network, it can again be a very um, big issue if something happens. So, phishing is again those fake texts, emails, or pop up messages to get people to share that personal information, that financial information. You want to avoid clicking on links in messages, emails, pop ups. You want to delete messages from unknown senders and don't reply to any texts, emails, or pop ups that ask for that information. And really be very cautious about opening any attachments or downloading any files from emails you receive. Um, we want to say, regardless of who sent them, you need to be confident that the person who it says it's from really sent the message and that it's not a fake email that looks like it's from your best friend. Because certainly scammers, hackers get out there and mask that email image and make it look like it's from someone on your contact list. So get kids involved. They could probably help with this, and spot the frauds and the fakes that are out there. But there are a lot of teachable moments to kind of, there's games about spot the inaccuracies and matching type things, make it a game and have the conversation about what's wrong with this message and find the hidden errors as to what we should avoid.
Would you count fake websites in this as well for phishing now? Because I feel like that has become something that's like, it's just blowing me away. And I turned one in about a year and a half ago on a pool scam that started from a social media piece of phishing. Led you to a fake website, and now I just feel like there's just fake websites galore that are out there when you're doing searches for certain items.
Yeah, fake websites, certainly, while they can fall in the phishing definition if it's in an email and it directs you to the fake website, or they can be standalone scams when you do a Google search and what pops up first or 1 through 5 are a couple of the fake websites. But they're out there asking you to hand over your personal information. Again, it's a alluring tactic to get you to respond and hand over that information. So it certainly falls within this category.
Final one here, quick, is apps, and but nobody knew what apps were a while back, and now that's where it's at. Same deal here. You gotta keep an eye on what's being downloaded, and I'm just thinking the word free, and that's what the kids see, and all right, well I can download it. It's free. It says free.
Right. You want to vet those apps because you want to know what else that app is going to access. That developer may have designed the app in a way to access other personal information that's not related to the purpose of that application. And it might be to collect information for marketing purposes or other companies. And they might be information sharing, but it might go deeper than that as well. And you want to be sure that you have an opportunity to read privacy policies, vet the information, know how you connect to that app and what else it accesses on your device before you approve having it there and using the application.
All right, Michelle, all great information. If people want to learn more, I know there are some really great resources out there for people to check out. Where can they find those?
You can go to our website at datcp.org fish.wi.gov, or certainly call our consumer protection hotline to have information sent to you at 1-800-422-7128.
Great work, Michelle. We appreciate your time as always, and we'll check back in with you later this month.
That sounds great. You take care.
You as well. Check out the website, as Michelle mentioned, and report too. You got to report this stuff. That's the best way for Michelle and the team at DATCP to protect you and everybody else around you. Take a quick break. More to come. You're watching Talking Fitchburg.